Hi everyone, my name is Ruben Mbuki and I'm going to take you in muscle physiology. Okay, so before you start doing muscle physiology, you need to understand that you need to know first cell physiology, because whatever we'll be talking about in muscle physiology, it has to relate to cell physiology. You need to know the foundation and the basics in cell physiology. So before you watch the video on muscle physiology, please make sure you go and watch the video for cell physiology, okay? Especially membrane transport, okay? Cell membrane transport. You need to make sure you watch that part. So today I'm going to start by discussing first the different types of muscles, okay? Starting with the skeletal muscle. There are about 3 different types of muscles. We have got one, skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, and smooth muscle. So the way I'm going to discuss these muscles, I'm going to start with skeletal muscle, then I'm going to go into cardiac, then smooth, okay? That's how they are taught, okay? So this lecture is going to involve skeletal muscle, the structure and function, okay? We'll also look at the anatomy, okay, of skeletal muscle. And I hope you're going to enjoy it because it's a very simple and straightforward topic, okay? Let's go on the introduction, okay? So the outline, skeletal muscle. We are going to look at the introduction, organization of skeletal muscle, microanatomy of a skeletal muscle fiber, and review the general muscle terminology, okay? Those are the things that we are going to discuss. Those are the objectives that we are going to focus on. Introduction. Skeletal muscles are referred to as skeletal because these type of muscles are attached to bones, okay? So they connect to bones. No wonder they are always referred to as skeletal muscles, okay? Cardiac muscles, because these are the muscles that are found in the heart, okay? The heart is specifically made up of what? The cardiac muscles, okay? But for smooth muscles, they are found in different places. For an example, the GIT tract is made up of what? Smooth muscles, okay? It's the one that's really responsible for what we call peristaltic movement of food as it moves down the alimentary canal, okay, or the gut. So our main focus today is to talk about skeletal muscles, okay? And as said, their name, just like their name says, that they are skeletal muscles. They are attached to what? The skeleton, okay, or bones. So long cells, therefore called fibers, meaning that they are long cells, okay, and they can be called fibers, okay. So this can be known as myocytes. They can be called as muscle fibers, and they can be called also as muscle cells, okay. But in this topic, I'm going to refer it mostly as muscle fiber, and they're striated. This will be explained later as we go on. Then multinucleated. So this is trying to talk about the different characteristics of what? Smooth muscles, okay? Multinucleated, meaning they are fused mononucleated myoblasts, okay? So meaning they have got multiple nucleus, okay? No wonder they are said multinucleated, okay? Have numerous mitochondria, indication of high need for energy. We'll talk about muscle types. There are about different types of muscle types, okay? We'll talk about that, okay? We can also categorize them. There's different types of skeletal muscles in another topic or in another discussion that we're going to have. But just know that have numerous what? Mitochondria, and this is needed for energy production because these muscles need an active process to contract, okay? We'll talk about how calcium binds to the an active site on the what? On the actin filament. We'll talk about that at a later stage. But right now, just know that they need mitochondria for energy. And that energy is in form of what? ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Then we have got over 650 throughout the body. Okay, that's a lot. And these are also known as what? Voluntary muscles. Means they can be controlled consciously. If you want to lift a cup, you have to tell yourself, okay, let me lift the cup. If you want to run, you have to tell yourself to say, okay, let me run. That's what it means when they say you can control them consciously, meaning you have got the authority to use the what? Skeletal muscles. Unlike some certain type of like muscles, such as the cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles, we have got no control over them, okay? No wonder they're known as involuntary muscles. I hope you're going to enjoy the topic because it's quite interesting. So what we are saying here is a skeletal muscles. Like they said, it's what? Striated. So those lines you are seeing there, it means those are striations. Okay. And those things that you are seeing here, well, these are known as what? Multiple nucleuses. Okay. Introduction. Okay. These are some of the functions. Okay. There are about 4. These are some of the functions of what? Skeletal muscles. Okay. Yeah. So one, skeletal muscles can be excited. No wonder they're saying they are excitability, meaning they're able to generate action potentials. Okay. They need something to excite them for them to contract. Okay. So they can be excited by an action potential, which is transmitted through what? A neuron. Okay. Then it reaches a what? A motor end plate. Then it excites what? The muscle. So that's what you're going to look at. Okay. So there's a chain of reactions that you can see. For instance, it has to start from what? A sensory neuron. First, a receptor detects a change. Sensory neuron, interneuron or relay neuron. Then we have got what we call motor neuron, which has got a motor end plate, which excites a muscle, whereby there has to be a synapse. There will be the crossing of acetylcholine across that synaptic cleft. We'll talk about that later. Okay. Then contractility. Muscles are able to contract. How? They are able to change length. Okay. They can reduce in size in order to what? To pull the bones. Okay. So that they can be able to move. Then smooth muscles can also have what we call elasticity. It's one of the characteristics, although it's not there. Okay. And they also have what we call stretchability. So if you talk about elasticity, what do we mean? Their ability to what? Expand or to change. Okay. Then when you talk about stretchability, when you talk about elasticity, their ability to resist change. Okay. They can go, then they need to get back, because if you know any object that is elastic, it resists a change in shape. Okay. So even muscles, when you pull them, they need to what? Resist that change. Meaning after some time, they're going to come back to their normal way. Then you talk about stretchability, the ability of the muscle to do what? To expand. Okay, or to be stretched, or to change shape. Introduction. We're still in the introduction. Let's talk about now the functions. We're talking about the characteristics. Now we talk about the function. Okay, so the functions of skeletal muscles. 1, skeletal movement. As you know, that muscles are able to make the skeleton to move. Okay, which is a fact. Posture and body position. So for you to be able to sit upright, it's because of what? The skeletal muscles. Okay, the ones that are found at the back, in the ribs, and different parts of the body. They work hand in hand to help you do what? Stand, in order to make movement, to maintain posture and body position. Okay. The other one is support of soft tissues. Okay. They're able to protect soft tissues. Okay. They're able to offer support. 4, guarding of entrance and exits. Okay. Yes. They're able to guard or protect. Okay. Then the other one is 5, maintenance of body temperature. Okay, so muscles, as they're undergoing what we call metabolic reactions, are able to produce heat, and that heat helps to warm the body. Let's go to the next slide. So what you are seeing on this slide, you're trying to talk about different types of muscles and how they look like, okay, under a microscope. So we are going to start the first one. So the heading is saying gross relation with other types of muscles. So we're going to find that we have got what we call skeletal muscles there, then cardiac, then smooth. So when you look at the way skeletal muscles are, okay, when you look at the way skeletal muscles are, you're going to find that they're striated. Which other type of muscle is striated? The cardiac muscles. Then the last one is what? Smooth muscles, okay. But you have a broader understanding and knowledge when you do what? Anatomy, because anatomy goes in depth trying to talk about what? The different types of muscles, their structure, their histology, etc., etc. But my main interest is just trying to introduce you to the anatomy, to know what you're talking about, then go into the what? The pathways or the mechanism. That's my importance, because physiology just talk about the pathways, okay? The steps that you follow for a reaction to take place. That's physiology, the pathways. Let's go next slide. So here is organization of skeletal muscles. So what you are seeing on this slide is that, let me try to zoom in. So when you zoom in the diagram, you're going to find that this is a skeletal muscle, and this skeletal muscle is made up of different, I can't say structures, but I can say different parts, which have also been classified or named. Okay, so you're going to find that we are going to start first with the bone. Okay, we said a skeletal muscle is attached to what? A bone. Okay, so when you say a skeletal muscle is attached to what? A bone. Okay, so what you're saying here, it is a bone. This might be the radius or what, depending on which type of bone it's attached to and what type of muscle is this. So if this is the radius and this muscle is attached to that bone, okay, then what attaches a muscle to the bone is known as what? A tendon. Okay, so a tendon is the one that joins a muscle fiber, sorry, a muscle to what? A bone. Okay, then when you go and we zoom in again, we are going to find that we have got what we call, this is a muscle mass. Okay, this is the muscle. Okay, so this muscle is made up of about 3 connective tissues. Okay, we have got one, what we call epimysium. Okay, epimysium, that's the outer connective tissue. Then after that, we are going to have what we call endomysium. Then after that, we are going to call what we call perimysium. So these different types of connective tissues, I'm sure in anatomy, the first time they talked about connective tissues. So I'm sure I understand what we're talking about right now. Okay, so when you look at these connective tissues, they work hand in hand to help the muscle carry out its function. Okay, so let's start looking at them one by one. So epimysium. So after the muscle, okay, the muscle mass, the whole muscle, you're going to find that you're going to have a connective tissue which is found, this layer is going to be called epimysium. Okay, then after the epimysium, we are going to have what we call structures which are inside the muscle. These structures we are seeing here is known as what? Fasciculars. Okay, it's known as what? Fasciculars. These fasciculars or fascicles, okay, are covered by another connective tissue known as what? Perimysium. Okay, then when you go inside the fasciculars, okay, or the fascicle, you're going to find that inside each fasciculus, you're going to find that there is what we call muscle fibers. Okay, remember what I said, skeletal muscle cells are long. Okay, then they're known as also as muscle fibers. So when you talk about what you're seeing here, these are muscle what? Cells or myocytes. But in this topic, we're going to classify them as what? Muscle fibers. That's how we are going to classify them. So what you are seeing here is a muscle what? Fiber. So we are, this is, let me zoom out. Okay. So now, this muscle fiber, if you are seeing this one, is this one. Okay. We have got multiple muscle fibers in the fasciculars. Okay. So these are different types of what? These are the muscle fibers which are found there. Like they said, they are what? Multinucleated, meaning they have multiple nucleuses. Then when you go, you zoom in again, you're going to find that you have got what we call myofibril. Okay. Then this myofibril you are seeing here is found where? Inside the muscle or the myocyte. Okay, it's found inside the myocyte. Then the myofibril, these are long threads which contain certain type of structures which are known as the sarcomere. Okay, what's the definition? What's the definition for sarcomere? A sarcomere is the space between one Z disc and the other Z disc. That's known as what? A sarcomere. Okay, or you can also define a sarcomere as a what? The basic function unit of a what? A muscle cell or even a muscle. Okay, so that's a basic function unit. Okay, or that's a starting unit. Okay, that's known as a what? A sarcomere. We'll talk about what structures are involved in and how a sarcomere looks like. We'll talk about that as we go on. No wonder I'm saying it's a very interesting topic. So you need to understand first the anatomy before we go into the what? The physiology. So when you look at all these parts of organization of skeletal muscle, they work hand in hand to make a muscle do what? Contract. Let's go on the other slide. So this diagram is also trying just to talk about what we just talked about on the other slide, the previous slide. So one thing you're just supposed to pick up is that these connective tissues, they are connected just as the word itself describes it, okay? So if you can fail to understand that diagram, you can go through the same diagram. I'm sure it's going to help you with it. Structure of a single muscle fiber, okay? So now this is when we now get a single muscle fiber, and then we're trying to know the anatomy of a muscle fiber. Because for us to talk about the pathways, the mechanisms that happen in a muscle, we need first to understand what is a single muscle fiber made up of. What's this myocyte made up of? What's this muscle cell made up of? Okay, so that's what you're going to look at right now.